Hi, my name is Teresa Funke. I'm an author, a speaker, and a writer's coach, and today we're going to talk about how you can find and secure your right fit agent. Now, if you are at this process, it means that your book is done, and this is a very exciting time for you. So you may be wondering whether or not you even need an agent. If you are self-publishing, of course you don't need an agent. If you are approaching a small press or a mid-sized press, a university press, chances are you don't need an agent. But if you want to go the traditional route and approach a bigger, more established publishing house, you probably need to seek representation. If that is the case, you are going to go about getting your agent in one of two ways typically. Ideally, you're going to meet your agent at a writer's conference and establish a rapport. If you want to have good tips on how to nail that agent pitch session at a conference, you can check out my video of that name. The other choice would be to contact an agent directly. And in order to do this, you're going to look at their guidelines and send them exactly what they ask to receive. It'll probably be a query letter and a synopsis for your fiction, or a book proposal for your nonfiction, and maybe some sample chapters. So let's assume that you are starting out in this process of looking for an agent, and you want to know what is the best way to get started. Well, I believe it's always best to do background research first and get really grounded on what it is that you need to know before you take the next step in your writing journey. So I would recommend that you buy some books on how to get an agent or the role of an agent so that you're very clear on what it is that an agent does before you even start approaching the agents you would like to contact. Now, there's lots of books out there that you can buy on this subject, but you can also check out articles on the internet or in your writing magazines that will tell you more about the role of an agent. When I was starting out, I found a book called Be Your Own Literary Agent by Martin Levin to be very helpful because it assumed you were representing yourself and told you exactly what you should ask for. So I figured if I knew how to represent myself, I would know whether or not my agent was representing me well and could talk to them if I had any concerns. So check out books that are going to make you feel more comfortable what the agent role is. The next thing you want to do is determine whether or not the agents that you are considering approaching are legitimate agents with good reputations. Now, one way to do that is to look for their name in Literary Marketplace. You can also try to find them in Writer's Digest's Guide to Literary Agents. Now, this is a book that is updated yearly. And those agents that appear in the book are vetted by Writer's Digest. So you can know that they are going to be established, reputable agents, and you can trust that. There's other guidebooks as well, like Jeff Herman's guide, which I think is also very helpful. The point is that you want to make sure that these are reputable agents and that you're not getting sucked into a scam. There are scam agents out there, and oftentimes you'll recognize them because they'll charge some sort of a fee. Usually a reading fee to review your work. They're making money off of those fees, but they're not necessarily good agents. If you have any concerns, you can check sites like Predators and Editors and see if they are listed there. You can also Google their name and see if there have been any bad reviews of these agents and any concerns that are raised on your part. Now, the last thing that you want to do is you want to check out their website, because a good agent today will have a website. They vary greatly in what they feature on their websites, but ideally you're hoping to see maybe a list of their other clients. You're hoping to see for sure what type of work they most want to represent, because you want to make sure that they are a good match for the genres in which you are writing and the type of project in which you are proposing. So you want to look at their websites and see if you feel comfortable with them. See if you like the way they communicate via their web presence. And that will also tell you a little information about whether or not they really are legitimate, because a good agent should have at least a minimal website. So let's say you have gone to the trouble to identify an agent that would be perfect for your projects, or met him or her at a conference. And that agent has seen your early materials, your query, your synopsis, your sample chapters, and told you that they want to represent you. Now, at this point, you have some important decisions to make about whether or not this is your right fit agent. And you do that by asking those agents the questions that you need to know in order to feel comfortable that the relationship is what you are looking for. So the Association of Authors Representatives is an association that many legitimate agents belong to, and it holds them to a code of ethics. If the agent you have chosen is a member of that organization, then they are probably a very legitimate agent. On the AAR website, you'll find a list of questions that you can ask your agent before you sign with them. You'll want to ask basic questions about the commission that they take, for example, and how they are distributing that money to the authors that they work with. You might want to ask whether or not they provide any type of editorial input on your work. Some do, a lot don't. So if they don't provide editorial input, do they prefer that you work with maybe an editor beforehand? Or do they think that the material is solid enough they can start sending it out? So you're going to find lists of questions that you want to ask to make sure that you understand the arrangement you're entering into. One of the most important questions I think that you should ask is who will actually be representing you once the contract is signed. So for example, I one time had an agent who was very reputable, very knowledgeable. All of my negotiations on the phone were with her. Once the contract was signed, however, she handed me off to a junior agent who could have cared less about my project. And there was nothing I could do about that. I eventually wound up parting ways with that agency. So you do want to make sure that you're clear who actually is going to be handling my work within your agency, and how do I communicate with that person. So one of the things I always tell my clients when they're getting ready to sign with an agent is to make sure they understand how that agent communicates. Do they give you regular updates on where they've sent your book and what the responses have been? Will they show you the rejection letters that you've gotten, or do they choose not to? How often can you expect to hear from your agent, and how best can you get in touch with and communicate with that person? Agents are very busy people, but we as authors have the right to be able to communicate freely and openly with our agents, and you want to make sure you understand how that takes place. Now, most agents, not all, are going to ask you to sign a contract with them. And it'll be a typical boilerplate contract in which the terms will be identified clearly for you to review. You're going to find in all of those books that you read, there will be things that are going to tell you what to look for in that boilerplate contract with that agent. If you have any concerns about your contract, you are always free to run them by a literary lawyer and get some advice. Now, you can negotiate with your agent if there are points in the contract that concern you, and you can see what their response is, but most legitimate agents are going to give you a contract that they feel they've been using for years and works well with all of their authors. And most of the time, you can trust that that contract is designed so that they can do their best work to represent you without tying their hands. You do want to make sure that you understand what happens if this relationship does not work out. Sometimes you wind up hiring an agent that turns out just not to be very good at all, or they are not doing their job in the way that they had promised you they would. Other times you might get a good agent, somebody with a great reputation who's actually done some hard work for your book, but you may disagree with something in the way that they are working or the way they are pitching your work. So you want to make sure that you understand, how does this relationship terminate in a positive way? Most agents are going to require that you give them 60 to 90 days from the time you tell them that you want out of the contract. And during that time period, if any offers come in for your work based on the leads that they had put out there, they still have the right to follow through on those leads and to maybe negotiate something on your behalf. So it's actually fair to give them 60 to 90 days to make sure that everything that's in circulation comes full circle, and you want that as well. So you should be able to talk freely with your agent when you sign on. What do we do if this doesn't feel right to you or to me? How do we terminate this relationship? Hopefully that won't happen, and you'll have your agent for a long time. It's not uncommon, by the way, to have different agents for different types of projects that you are doing. So if you're writing nonfiction books and you're writing fiction books, for example, you may have two different agents representing your projects. So always make sure that you follow these steps to make sure that you find the agent that is going to be the best fit for you. So there is one last scenario that I often get asked about. It's a little bit more uncommon, but it does happen. Suppose you've met an editor at a conference or through a connection that you have who is interested in buying your book outright. The question I often get is, well, since I'm working directly with the editor, do I need an agent anyway? And the answer to that often is yes, you might want to consider representation even if an editor has made an offer. And the reason for that is twofold, particularly if you're working with a bigger, more established publishing house. An agent can oftentimes negotiate for you a better deal for payment than you could ever negotiate for yourself. Partly because they are trained to do this, and partly because there's an unspoken rule in the world of publishing that an editor will always give an agent a better deal than they will an author when they're negotiating directly with that author. So even though it seems a little silly sometimes to pay an agent a commission when you already have a deal with that editor, if they can get you more payment, they are in essence paying for themselves. But they're also going to watch out for you. They're going to negotiate for you things that you may not have known that you needed. Or they're going to go to bat for you for things that you think are very important but might be difficult for you to advocate for yourself. Let's say you want very desperately to have some say on the cover. The agent may be able to negotiate whether or not you can at least see the cover before it goes to print. So even if an editor approaches you directly, you might want to consider approaching an agent at that point and asking if they will represent you through the contract, and then whether or not they might be interested in continuing to represent whatever work you have coming forward. So hopefully this helps you understand that the agent-author relationship needs to be a good fit. Like I said, it might be a great agent, but if for some reason you two aren't clicking, you're not going to do your best work together. So you do want to make sure that the agent that you hire is reputable and established, and that they have a solid contract that you agree with before you sign it with them. And again, you can look at my other video to find out how to pitch to an agent at a conference if you need that support. You can also check my website on the products page. You'll find a downloads page, and I will put up a PDF that explains a bit more about this process of finding your right fit agent. Lastly, if you have encountered someone who's interested in representing you, or you're interested in going out and finding an agent on your own, you are always welcome to contact me. I've helped many of my clients prepare their submissions for agents and secure agents. So if you need extra help from me as a coach, make sure you contact me at www.teresafunke.com, and we will set up a consultation and I can walk you through this in more detail. Thank you.